Hello everyone, it's lovely to be back with you again, and today we're going to do some more stories and we're going to do some phonic work as well. Parents, I'm going to try and make sure that Rainbow class have some stories to listen to as well. So I'm going to read a slightly more simple story for the Rainbow class first, and then I'm going to read an information book for the older children, and then we will do some phonics together at the end and then a little bit of singing. So it will be interesting for you to be able to see the different levels that we are teaching in nursery, but also for you to look at your development of your child and fit the sort of things into their curriculum that you feel is necessary. Right, I will start with our normal way. We put our hands here. Are you ready? It's listening time. It's listening time. Shh. Right, first of all, with our listening in mind, I'm going to reintroduce you to one of our little friends that we use in nursery. Who remembers what his name is? Yeah, that's right, it's Lola. And Lola spends her time with Tracy a lot of the time in the green room when she teaches lots and lots of different listening skills. And Lola tells us some very important things. The first one, Lola says, is a good listener always looks at the speaker. So you need to be looking at Mrs. Lee all the time when I'm reading stories and telling you important things. The next thing Lola says is that a good listener tries to stay quiet. So if you are watching this at home with Mummy and Daddy, then sit nice and still and nice and quiet so you can hear all the things that Mrs. Lee is telling you. The next thing that Lola tells us is that a good listener tries to stay still. So none of that jiffling. Sit nicely, cross your legs, fold your arms if you can, and then you'll be able to listen to Mrs. Lee and concentrate very hard. And the last thing, Lola tells us that a good listener tries to remember what the speaker has said. Do you remember in nursery we say, if you don't listen, you don't learn? So we'll put Lola here for the time being. I think she's going to try and listen very, very carefully with you while we read the first story. The first story is called Titch, and it's about growing. Let's start at the beginning. Titch was little. His sister Mary was a bit bigger, and his brother Pete was a lot bigger. So I wonder who is the tallest in this picture. Can you see? That's right, it's Pete. And who is the smallest or the shortest in this picture? It's our little friend here, Titch. He's the shortest. Pete had a great big bike, and Mary had a big bike. And Titch had a little tricycle. Do you remember we were talking about things with 3 in there for try? And we said tricycle had 3 wheels. A triangle had 3 sides. See if you can remember some more of those try words, and you can talk to Mummy and Daddy about that later. Pete had a kite that flew high above the trees, and Mary had a kite that flew high above the houses. And Titch had a pinwheel that he held in his hand. Do you remember we said another name for a pinwheel that we use most of the time is a windmill, and the wind blows it around. Pete had a big drum, and Mary had a trumpet. So they've got different instruments. And Titch had a little wooden whistle. He's got the smallest instrument, hasn't he? Pete had a great big saw, and Mary had a big hammer. And Titch, poor old Titch, he just held the nails. Pete had a big spade, and Mary had a fat flower pot. But Titch, poor old Titch, he just had the tiny seeds. And Titch's seed grew and grew and grew. So in the end, Titch had the tallest thing because he had grown a tall, tall, tall plant. Just like the beanstalk a bit in Jack and the Beanstalk, and in the other story we read the other day, Jasper's beanstalk. And it grew from that tiny, tiny little seed that Titch was holding in his hand in the story. Right, let's put Titch over there, and we're going to do some of our phonics now for the younger group. So we're going to have a shopping basket. Oh, very, very heavy shopping basket. And in my shopping basket, there's lots of food. And we've got lots of phonics. And we are going to see if we can match the phonics to the food. And Crispin here, who helped us the other day with our phonics, he's going to help us this time as well. So let's see what's in Mrs. Lee's shopping bag first. First of all, I've got this. What is it? It's porridge. Porridge. And porridge starts with a P. P for porridge. Let's put that one down. Let's see what else I've got in my bag. I've got some spaghetti. Spaghetti. What sound do you think spaghetti starts with? Let's see. There it is. Spaghetti. Spaghetti. Right, the next one in my bag, I have got some tea bags. Tea bags. And here is my sound. It is a t, t, t. Tea bags. T, t. Tea bags. Lots of things in my bag today. I have got some milk. Milk. Do you remember? Milk. And here's the M for milk. Next one. I've got a tin with some tomatoes. Tin tomatoes. And here is my tomatoes. I think I might have something else in my bag. It's a very heavy bag today. Some flour. Flour. What sound do you think flour starts with? Let me have a look. Here it is. It is a flour. Flour. And another one is pasta. Pasta. What sound for pasta? Do you remember? For pasta. Here's my pasta. Nearly there. 3 things left. This one is some jelly. J. Do you remember when we were playing in the green room and we were all shaking and making ourselves into wibbly wobbly jellies? So it's a j for jelly. And here is the j for jelly. Last one. And they are beans. Beans. Not the same beans that Jasper planted, not the same beans that Jack planted, but baked beans. That's 2 b sounds. Baked beans. And here is the b for baked beans. Well, I